Okay, we officially have a quorum, and it's possible that Linda may join us at some point as well. So now that we have a quorum, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I have to start with the script, so I'll do that. As a preliminary matter, I'm Mary Ann Easley, Chair. Permit me to confirm that members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob,
Here.
Kendra is not here. Arlene,
Here.
Jude,
Here.
Nancy,
Here.
Linda is not here, and I am here. Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jericho,
In attendance?
Laura,
Here.
thank you, and we do not have any anticipated speakers. This open meeting of the Council on Aging is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Council on Aging is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided to members. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly so that our secretary can generate minutes. And I think that's about it. Thank you. For those who are just joining us, I'm going to repeat something that we mentioned prior to the meeting, and that is Susie Spring has decided to resign from the Council on Aging. So she has a full-time job, which is kind of overwhelming, and also other commitments. So has decided to leave us as of today. So we will not be seeing her again, I'm sorry to say. And the other thing that Jericho mentioned, that Allison Forsgren has been accepted into the Peace Corps, and she will be going to Fiji. So she will be with us for a few more months, but we don't know exactly how long. With that, I'm going to ask for approval of today's agenda. If somebody could move to approve it.
Bob will move it.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Jude.
Thanks, Jude. And now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of June and August, which I think I've been confused about, but we never did approve the minutes of June because no one actually submitted the minutes. So you should have received both of these in advance of this meeting. So I'll start with the June minutes. Could somebody please move to approve these?
Bob will move.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Jude.
Thanks, Jude. And does anybody have any changes or edits that you want made to the June minutes? Okay, I'll ask for everybody's approval. I forgot to do that on the agenda, but I have to go down the list. So if you approve the minutes, please say yes. Bob,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mary Ann, yes. Thank you. That's unanimous. Now we'll move on to the minutes of our previous meeting, which was August. And can I get somebody to move to approval of those minutes?
Bob will move it.
Thank you,
And-
Bob.
Jude will second.
Thanks, Jude. Does anybody have any changes that you want made? Okay, I'm going to suggest to Arlene, who's our secretary, that I have changes, but they're all about spelling of people's names. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to send those to you. Everybody's essentially approved the content, and I have no changes to the content, but that's okay with you. I'll just make sure that you get the spelling of people's names.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So again, I have to go down the list for approval of the August minutes. Bob,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mary Ann, yes. Thank you very much. Okay, that's housekeeping out of the way. Now on to the guts of our meeting. I wanted to make sure that we continue the discussion about cooling centers, given that we've just gone through a super heat wave this summer and may do the same next summer. And Nancy has suggested that we should include a discussion of heating centers as we're about to enter the winter season. So I really just wanted to open the floor to anybody's comments. And before we do that, I think Jericho may have some comments since he was following up from our last meeting. So Jericho, if you could just bring us up to speed, and then we'll discuss, what people may want to see as opposed for seniors to get cooling and heating options during each season.
So I'll start with cooling and then briefly mention warming. So the cooling center, there's been a statewide task force put together for climate related, like unforeseen social consequences of climate change. They have a cooling center network put together, but when they say cooling center, they mean public building with air conditioning, and all of their guidance, et cetera, uses that term. So they don't have like a portable thing that can be set up. They can deploy into a public space with cooling stuff, so they can have like, they can team up with a like the public school gym or something like that, but only in a state of declared emergency by the governor. There's also a couple of things that go into place when we're in official drought situations, but like so many state resources, they're not really deployable on Nantucket. We had an enormous amount of trouble getting state support for vaccination, which was a much more pressing and acute need. And mostly they could not get people to deliver services to Nantucket. What I'm looking into now is a more logistics-based program. We have a pretty consistent list of elders with a variety of concern through the Generation Safe program, what we would, and through our 2 or 3 previous rounds of at-home vaccination. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to maintain a list of at-risk individuals and do a check-in ahead of predicted or during extreme climate events. That seems to be a locally workable system where we can at least be in touch with people and get them to a public place that has a, some sort of climate control. Additionally, and we may be able to look into this as an adjustment to the home improvement grant, there might be some money for installing window fans or something like that that we can dig up on a state level, possibly to bulk out the home improvement program, or we can include some home improvement, some cooling options into home improvement, the home improvement project. On to the heating thing. So if there are issues around being able to afford utilities, we have a fairly robust basically utilities assistance program administered through both, I think, Nantucket Resource Projects and then also IFC. So if the issue is ability to afford power, that's something that we can assist with already. And there are partial subsidies for fuel costs with a means testing component that's a little bit more onerous than the other ones we do. The other angle on that is that there's an ongoing twice weekly winter warmer program run by the Interfaith Council that is primarily geared towards homelessness. It is a public place where people can warm up. I don't anticipate that expanding too much beyond serving the chronic homeless population on the island, but it's something that we could try and dovetail a similar program with a similar public place that we could hopefully at least be able to warm people for short periods of time. The 2 things I'm following up on are the potential for like loan heating systems. If somebody has basically like a bunch of space heaters that we can rent out if necessary. But there's some logistical stuff I have to run down before I can make a huge, I can discuss that too much. I don't know what the shape that would look like or how it would work or who would have them, et cetera, et cetera. That's basically my bit.
So are there comments from council members on either heating or cooling?
I did have a couple of thoughts about the cooling center, but I'm curious, how do we communicate this to people who are needing to apply for these services, Jericho?
So that is actually the $1 million question for almost all of the human services questions, is how do we connect people to the services that they need? In this case, we have a fairly well-maintained list of people who are likely to have this kind of issue through both the Generation Safe program, which is the Nantucket Fire Department will do house tours for safety for elders. And they have a directory of people who are part of that program. And then we've done 2 or 3 rounds of homebound vaccine, either first and second doses or boosters periodically over the years. So we actually have a pretty good idea of who the low mobility seniors on the island are that we've identified from the last 1.5 years in the health department, and then for several years previous to that as part of the Generation Safe program. So we can be calling people to reach out and see if they need anything in that context. The other way we would have to do this, especially with this demographic, we can't just throw some stuff on social media. So it would be word of mouth. It would be people saying, hey, I think they might have a problem, and then us working backwards from there. I think there are probably more communications methods we could use. A lot of the stuff Marianne did for the home improvement grant and for the caregiver support grant, those are communications channels we know work and we know connect to seniors that don't rely on technology they don't use. So I'll probably be pulling from the list of people who contacted her on the home improvement grant specifically. And then just, word of mouth, trying to collect numbers. If you know of someone who might need to touch in on that, let us know, we'll call, et cetera, et cetera.
So would it be inappropriate then to send sort of like a press release almost to the news media for them to put it in their newsletters that go out to the community?
I think
say if you know someone who you think might be interested in applying to this, please pass this information to them, sort of thing.
At this point, applying to is just a phone list. Like, I don't know what shape the assistance would have. At that case, it would be like, oh, you do need that. You may need some supplies. Well, we'll set you up with our island ride to get you down to the Athenaeum so you can be in an AC area for X amount of time. The actual new places to cool people off part of this thing, I have not figured out yet.
Okay.
Can we address the possibility of flooding? Do we have a list of seniors who are caught in flood areas?
That specifically is public safety, as opposed to human services.
Okay.
There is that list, however, it is handled by the NFD. And specifically, it's held by Sean Mitchell, who is somewhat otherwise engaged of late.
And it would be for seniors stuck in a flood.
So
Okay.
Right now, the Generation Safe program does door-to-door visits. They have an annual list of people who they know are both above certain ages, have ingress, egress problems, and that live in a flood zone as delineated legally. And then we also have a list for the health department through the certification process for sewage systems for everyone who's in any of the 3 categories of titles
Great.
of flooding zones.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Jericho, I heard you mention the Athenaeum, as far as being maybe a location that seniors would go to for heat or cooling potential, which I thought that was a good resource as well. Has the ice rink ever been considered for a cooling center? Like I
No,
was
that's-
thinking to myself, the community foundation usually sometimes sends out emails to the nonprofits saying we have furniture, blah, 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 if you want to pick it up. And I was thinking, it probably wouldn't be too difficult to maybe establish like a corner of that section and put some comfortable chairs in and sort of reserve it for seniors. Because it has an area where they could, get a cup of coffee or get something to eat if they want. And it certainly is cool in there during the summer. So it's just it could serve as an overflow perhaps.
No, that is actually a fantastic idea that I was just out of camera writing on my whiteboard so that I don't forget it. I had not thought of that, and that is a fantastic idea. I know that they're underutilized for several months out of the year.
They are,
and
yeah, they
that would
are
be a-
underutilized.
I think
Yeah.
that's a fantastic possibility. We would have to do some work on their side before I would be comfortable having that go wide. And unfortunately, we're at the time of the year where nobody's thinking about heating or thinking about cooling right now. Everyone's going the other way. I will discuss that with them. I think we have a discussion with them about potentially having an indoor clinic there at some point. So when I have that discussion, I will follow through.
Perfect.
And see if I can figure out the cooling thing. But that's a really good idea, and I'm kind of annoyed at myself for not thinking of it.
Anybody else have any thoughts or questions on heating or cooling for seniors? Well, if people agree, I will keep this topic alive for future meetings so that we weigh in and see what solutions we have come up with and what solutions we're still working on, and how we can get the word out to people. I imagine, Jericho, that you're going to do vaccine boosters and you're going to have to go back into the homes of people who are homebound, and it's a chance to check on them yet again. So,
And then I know when Heather gets back in office, she's been out for most of August, unfortunately, for some family issues. So when Heather gets back in, we're going to be starting up the homebound booster cycle again. And she already has some pretty solid connections with Generation Safe. So most likely what we'll do is we'll start revising our list of people and make sure we have that in hand for any predicted really hot spells of next summer.
and that's Heather, who's the public health nurse.
Sorry, yeah, Heather Francis.
Right. Okay, unless there's anything else on this topic, I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting as well, and we'll do an update. And I'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Health Fair / Elder Expo. And Arlene, please jump in here with anything you'd like to add. I don't think I have much to say beyond what we said at our last meeting. We continue to meet with the hospital, and it's really their gig because it's on their turf. It looks like we have whittled down a more modest health fair so that we're not trying to cover the waterfront. And it's probably going to be on the second floor only. But as far as seniors go, I think there will be plenty of things of interest, including possibly a speaker, and definitely the senior extra strength flu shots. So the flu shots, of course, are the biggest draw, and definitely we will have those available, probably administered by visiting nurses. Again, the health fair is scheduled for October 22 in the hospital, and we have a pull the plug date just in case COVID ramps up again and changes everything for everybody. So if we have to pull the plug on the health fair, that will be done October 14, which is just about 7 days before the actual health fair. So right now, I think we look like we're okay. It's a kind of a go. Although I guess as of now, they have a new CEO at the hospital. Sorry, president. They've eliminated the CEO title, and I'm not sure of her exact start date. So we've been working with Jeanette Iverson, and she's moving on. So things may change.
Other than that, Marianne, I think you had volunteered to help with the bag takeaways for stuffing. which I'm happy to assist with. But I didn't know if there was anything that we wanted to put in that was any reference to the Council on Aging, to, I don't know. Like, whether we want the community to watch these meetings at any given point when they become available. I don't know that, if that's something that is of interest.
That's a good idea. That's true. I've been assigned to put together the takeaway packets for everybody, which will go probably into a bag of some sort. So if people have ideas what should be included, I'm certainly open. And thank you, Arlene. I will seek your help on this. And I sort of feel like whatever ends up in that bag, we're going to have to salute the hospital because it's, as I said,
Of course.
it's their gig.
We better salute, yeah.
So, yeah, and if people have ideas what seniors would be especially interested in, please let either Arlene or me know, and we'll definitely work on it. We have a regular meeting, another meeting coming up, I think on the 12th of September.
It's Monday, which
so-
unfortunately I'm not going to be able to attend because I have to take someone to the hospital actually on Monday morning for a procedure.
Well, I'll
So
be
I
there.
don't know if I'll be back in time for that meeting, but if I am, I'll chime in, but I'm not sure I'll be able to.
Well, we'll give you all the assignments.
Okay.
Since you're not there right now. Yeah, I don't have anything more specific about the health fair Elder Expo, but I imagine at each of our meetings our next meeting will have a little bit more things set in stone. So any questions about the health fair Elder Expo? Comments?
I have a brief addendum to this, which is that one of the other things we're doing, we're going to be getting some additional flu doses for a second flu clinic, and that we're also going to be doing some regular health screenings at Saltmarsh at a schedule to be determined for basic health care and ask a nurse type stuff. So I will, as soon as I have dates for that, I'll share them here. I just wanted to.
And see, that's excellent content to put in the bags and maybe drive them to the Saltmarsh's newsletter sign up so that, anybody who's unaware of it could be getting that information, because I certainly didn't know the Saltmarsh does newsletters, and now I get them all the time. So I think it would be just nice to put whether it's a flyer or a little rack card or something like that, and kind of bullet point some of the points that this council wants to communicate to those seniors to give them the heads up.
And additionally, if you guys want to do a semi-regular, like if you want some feature time in the Saltmarsh Gazette to do like Council on Aging report for the month, I can bully Laura into doing that really easy. I'm her boss.
She's on this call,
I know.
No need to bully.
Don't bully me.
Laura, we won't bully you.
I'm happy to put anything in, as you all know, from how big the newsletter gets.
Sorry, Laura, I just wanted to check to see if you were still on.
I'm still here.
Sure, Jericho.
No, I'm just,
I have a question for you. Are you saying that you're going to do regular flu shots in the Saltmarsh in addition to the flu shots that would be offered at the Health Fair Elder Expo?
so the Elder Expo will go on as a primary source. We are looking into now doing a homebound flu, to sort of doing the same thing we do with COVID along with flu
Right.
shots. That may end up being an additional clinic for flu to catch everyone who does not make it to the other one. But since the logistics on that one are not yet determined, assume for certainty's sake, only flu shots will be the Health Expo flu shots. But we will have some capacity to do it in home, and we will probably be able to catch some people if they miss the flu shots at the hospital.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Anything else on this topic?
I'm happy to lay that out for the bag inserts for us. If, Jericho, or maybe if we can just formalize an outline of what should be in there, I'm happy to put that together and make it happen. I don't know how many we need, which Mary Ann, we could probably figure that out from the meeting. I don't know how many bags they actually would give out to people, but I'm happy to take that on.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes.
The next thing on our agenda is memory cafes, and Allison is not here. So I'm wondering, Jericho, you're raising your hand, so you must have some information.
I literally 3 seconds ago got an email from Brian Linane talking about how they secured Sherman Commons to be the 501c to receive grant funding to start doing the memory cafes. So we now have location and funding financial agent taken care of. Next steps are going to be identifying facilitators. We've had regular meetings with Brian and myself and Allison. So we'll probably, I think the next one scheduled is for not next week, but the week after. Things are moving there. It looks like we're going to be able to actually start launching some of those. So that's the update. I would not have added it if I literally hadn't, if it hadn't like just shot itself in my eye as you were saying nothing to update. I was like, well, I got something. Yeah.
So what is the funding source?
So the stumbling block we had was a nonprofit to receive funds.
Right.
The community school would not, the existing 501 for the community school would not do it because it was not for a youth program. Sherburne Commons agreed to be the 501c, and I believe they had previously offered potentially like space to do it if also necessary. So what we're doing now is what I would imagine is going to be next steps are the elder focused CFN grants. When they go out, Brian Linane will go to those. And for CRC, Brian Linane will also go to the town for funding. And then I think there were 2 other revenue streams. There were some interest in donations. As long as there's a 501c that would agree to receive those donations, then we can get the seed capital necessary to start doing this programming.
That's fabulous news. Great. Yeah. For people with dementia, wonderful to start something like this again.
Great.
Any comments or questions about memory cafes for people with dementia and their loved ones? Okay. I guess I can't say enough thanks to Allison for really forging ahead with it. Without Allison, this would never have come to fruition. So she deserves tons and tons of credit for this. So thank you, Allison, wherever you are in the sky at the moment.
Absolutely, Allison.
I will pass that along. I'll pass that along to her when she gets in. And then I would not weep too hard for someone who's about to spend 2 years in Fiji.
Okay. Jericho, you're up next with the Human Services report.
So I covered a fair amount of this elsewhere, but currently I'm working on the behavioral health initiative. We're going to be spinning up COVID boosters with the new bivalent vaccines. Basically, you're going to be hearing bivalent and monovalent a lot in the next few weeks. Bivalent just means good against multiple types of COVID. It's the new updated boosters. There will be no old school boosters administered in Massachusetts from now on. So if you get a dose or an appointment, you will be getting the new variety, which is targeted specifically against Omicron. Our next clinic is going to be the 17th. There are still booster shots available there. We will be running a once monthly clinic with the state for as long as the state allows. And we are planning a larger clinic for school-age kids ahead of high transmission season. So hopefully we'll be announcing that towards the end of September. Past that, CRC, the Contact Review Committee is going to start. That's the town human services funding. We're sending packets out now. We're sending packets out in about 2 weeks, not now. I'm reviewing the packets now. And then what we'll do is we'll send those out by the end of September for collection in October. And then we'll start a review process of the individual grant proposals. Then past that, I'm there's a variety of like housekeeping, human services projects. We're trying to get a streamlined sharps disposal system for the nonprofits on the island, maybe save them some money. We're trying to, there's a couple of like internal structural things here at the health department with some new staff coming on board. So we'll be doing a decent amount of shuffling internally here. And then, sorry, the actual COVID information, which is that we stopped doing the wastewater testing 2 weeks ago, but the state has stepped in and they're actually going to be switching to a 3 times a week sampling. And they'll be sharing the data for on that with us. That's going to be basically your only real indicator of what the COVID situation is, as there's not going to be enough of the other type of testing for it to be worthwhile. However, it'll be 3 times a week. It should be done fairly, a little more granularly than we had before. So it'll be a relatively good indicator of the COVID status on the island. The last one we ran showed a drop. And I think coupled with the island population decreasing, we're probably about as good as we've been on the COVID situation for 6 months-ish. However, the type that's going around now, the BA5 and the BA5 subtypes, can reinfect people. It's still very virulent, and we're in the window between the end of summer where people are outside and the transmission levels are low, and the beginning of October when everyone's going to be indoors. So I would suggest, if you guys have not had a booster within the last 2 months, to go to the town webpage to sign up. That's on nantucket-ma.gov/vaccine. You can also do town Nantucket vaccine in Google and we'll find it for you. You can sign up there for the 17th. And I think it's an excellent idea if you have not had a booster within 2 months. I know I was advising a lot of people who are on the fence about boosters over the summer that they should wait to the fall because it'll be a Omicron targeted one that was just approved on September 1st. As of this week, all new doses going forward will be bivalent unless it's for under 12 category. And I think that's my major updates.
Any questions or comments for Jericho from council members? Okay,
This can be-
bivalent, we have to remember that.
It's your word of the day.
Everybody go to the town website and sign up for the 17th.
I'm on it.
I'm gonna be getting a report from the contractors being like, they crashed the site.
Well, there are not that many of us.
Would be telling me something.
Should hope we don't crash the site.
It was funny.
Only, what, 5?
We
7?
just tracked down a bug in it that was preventing people from signing up. So I was like asking people to like add more slots. And then they're like, I talked to the people and they're like, we have like 60 slots open. Oh, wait, I can't sign up anyone for this either. So I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you. Fix that, please.
Thank you very much, Jericho. And Laura, I know you've given us a report in advance. I was blown away. They had 70 people for the barbecue. That is,
Oh, I know.
that is a crowd.
It is a crowd. We had 50 for the pops.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's good
amazing.
too.
Yeah.
We've been very busy, which is great. And we've been getting, if you've noticed in the newsletter, we've been getting lots of kind of complimentary tickets from the theater workshop and from Dreamland. It seems every Wednesday they do a film for thought, and I just got some new tickets for next week, and they're going fast. Sometimes we get 4, sometimes we get 6. It kind of, I don't know how they figure it out. But the gal down there says that we use all of our comp tickets, more so than any other avenue that they disperse them to. So that's really cool. I think it's great. Yeah, it's nice. What else? So the town was sponsoring the lunches and they are done with that, and NCEA will be doing that until congregate lunch. Have you heard anything, Jericho? No.
I was going to ask about that. I think the only stumbling block now is getting the food from where it's made to the salt marsh. It's made across the street from here. We should be able to handle it. It's just a question of when Sherry is comfortable
Right.
that we will do it.
Okay. In the meantime, we will continue to do our little lunch, which still brings 20 people twice a week. And you should just hear them talk. It's fabulous. And they have the same thing every time. It's either a ham and cheese sandwich or a turkey and cheese sandwich, clam chowder, chicken soup, and a cookie. So it's not like they're getting this great variety, but they are getting great conversation with all of their peeps. So that's fabulous. We love it. And that's kind of like the big stuff that's going on for us. Everything else is in the newsletter. Oh, men's breakfast, I'm starting up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that on Thursdays, Nancy Swain. We thought that time would work a little better than before your class. And we'll see how it goes. And hopefully we'll get some guys. We get a lot of guys for the lunch, which is a Tuesday, Friday. And if we do a Thursday breakfast, which is only once a month, it's not every week. It's usually the last week of the month. So we'll see how it goes. So that's good. Any questions about anything that's going on? Now that Arlene gets the newsletter, she knows everything.
I keep my eye on it, Laura.
Right, exactly.
How was the ice cream social yesterday?
Oh, it was fabulous. It was fabulous. I got some great pictures from Barbara Woodcock. You're in one of them, which is the best. It is. It's because you have that bright blue umbrella. It's fabulous. I guess so. They did it from 2 to 4, and they paid for, or the grant paid for 100 ice creams, and they went up to 108. So they had to pay for 8 ice creams, but it went well. Considering the weather, people came in and had ice cream and talked. And so just about getting people together. And that's really what it's all about. Ice cream helps.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was fabulous.
Any comments or questions for Laura? Thank you. It sounds like, things are hopping at the Salt Marsh, and that's.
They are.
Yeah, it's such a big
I
change.
think you do a terrific job, actually.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's all because of you guys.
Well, I don't think.
All your grand ideas. And yes, it's all working together, everybody.
Oh,
How
that's
the world
good.
goes around.
Good. As long as we're doing something to grease the wheels.
Definitely.
Next thing on our agenda is a report on Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands from Allison. And she sent me a couple of mentions of things that we might want to know. The first is that Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, although I haven't seen much mention of that. And then she said that Laura has information about the fact that they have added Caribbean kosher and other options to Meals on Wheels. Did you know about that or not? Well, I was going to ask council members if you would be interested in having Sherry Hunt, who runs Elder Services on Nantucket. She hasn't come to our meetings in a couple of years, and we have some new members. And I think we could benefit from hearing from her what's going on with Elder Services. And possibly she could even invite Mary Ann Ryan, who is her, I don't know if you call her boss, but the person above her who's over on the Cape and runs all of everybody who's under the Cape umbrella. So I don't know how people feel about having both one, or at least Sherry, to come to one of our meetings, and perhaps Mary Ann, who's her uplink. How do people feel about that?
I think it'd be a great idea.
Okay, I think
do
that would
too.
give us a better idea of the kind of services that are being offered by Elder Services.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm
Are
gonna,
they catering to a lot of the Jamaican folks and folks that would like a different variety of food going into the Caribbean diet?
see, that's what she said. This is the note from Allison says, I believe Laura has the information. that they're looking to add Caribbean kosher and pureed meals to Meals on
Meals
Wheels.
on Wheels.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, but Sherry, who runs that whole program, could give us, all of the specifics, which, it's good for us to be knowledgeable about what's going on with serving the elder community, the real elder community who are mostly homebound. So, okay, I will invite her to our next meeting for sure. Okay, the last couple of things on here are me. So I'm just going to give an update on the senior home modifications. I have only good news to report for a change. This is such a change. It's been a real roller coaster, and Jericho has been on the ride with me the entire time, which has been all year. But without doing anything, without lifting a finger, we got our home modifications grant extended for another year. And
Fantastic.
I wasn't sure we would deserve this, but we're getting it, whether we deserve it or not. And actually, we do deserve it, I think, because we have saved the day in the last month or so. We had one handyman. We now have 4 handymen, and they are actively putting in grab bars and railings. And now Jericho's suggesting ceiling fans and possibly other upgrades for seniors. And we have one more handyman who's, we've interviewed him, but he just hasn't turned in his paperwork. So we may have 5. And these guys who are out there doing it, they really like doing it. And so far, the seniors that they've worked with everybody's happy. So we must be headed for the downslope again, Jericho. Get ready. But anyway, everything with home modifications is going really well now, and it's wonderful. So please tell people we have trustworthy handymen. They do a great job. The seniors who've already used them are very happy, and it's free. So the grant pays both the hourly wage for the handyman and for all their materials. So it's working. It's finally working. So anybody have any questions about that or comments?
I think that's wonderful. How did you find the handyman? Like, I know that you were struggling with that for a while.
Through Laura's newsletter.
Ah, Laura. Awesome.
Gazette, and they came out of the woodwork.
That's fantastic.
And
Good.
Jericho and Allison and I interviewed the applicants. They all passed muster. They all sailed through the background check. They all had resumes, and they all had people to vouch for them. So it's really taken off finally. So we're doing well in that regard. And what a fabulous newsletter that is. Put everything that if you want some action, put it in Laura's newsletter. The last thing on our agenda is my report on the Center for Elder Affairs. I did not attend their last meeting because they moved it up a day at the last minute, so I did not attend. But they've asked me to come to the next meeting and to educate everybody about the Council on Aging. So that's a good opportunity for us to get our message out to our brother sister organization. They have a lot of new members who may not be familiar with us. So they always meet on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 3:30 in the Salt Marsh. So any of you who would like to be there should come along, because if they see our faces, I think they'll know us better and we'll have an even better relationship. So I don't think I should be the only person that they see every month. So put it on your calendar if you have time. The 3rd Wednesday, 3:30 in the Salt Marsh. Usually lasts about an hour or so. That's all I have for today's report. So I don't know if anybody else has any issues that you'd like to bring up or anything about what we've already talked about.
I don't have an issue, but I do have a thought.
Okay, good.
So I I have a partner in a technology company that we were going to do cyber protection tutorials before COVID came along. And it sort of bubbled up to the surface again when an older friend of mine over at Sherburne Commons had needed some help because she had gotten a spam email and she didn't understand it. She almost fell for it. And she also was having trouble with her connecting to her internet, and her printer wasn't working. So I'm wondering, are there any services out there that can help seniors with this arena, because they are a big target for people who are trying to steal their information or get their credit card and this kind of thing. And we might go ahead and do some preliminary recordings that would teach probably it doesn't really matter what age you are, but things to watch out for that are, best practices. If you get this is what you do, type of thing. So I don't know if that exists, or I just wanted to run it by this group to see if there was any interest in that kind of thing. Or does it exist? Because if it does, then we won't step on anyone's toes, but I feel it is a need that needs to be filled.
Well, Laura, I remember attending something at the Salt Marsh that was representatives from the state of Massachusetts talking about maybe not exactly this topic, but a related topic. Do you want to talk about that?
I get emails from them. A lot of the times I can advertise something that they are doing that people can register for scams, things like that. Nothing on island though that anybody comes to talk about. Jericho and his intern have been doing a tech class, but that's more of kind of questions like, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to do that, or this, can't find my password, or something like that. I think it's a great idea. I think it would be fabulous. It would be something that we could either have people come in and do, or, a lot of people are used to not just the Zoom, but just a link to, which I love, like the link to the select board. I don't have to be there, but I can watch it on my own. And I think that's fabulous. So Arlene, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Well, Arlene, do you have an expert on this?
Oh yeah, my partner's name is Tiamir Ivanov. He and I are partners in a company called Rogue Wave Technologies. And it's actually designed for specific programming and cyber protection, like meaning how to protect yourself on a variety of ways. So it could be anywhere from using your smartphone to your website, to your email settings, to your social media settings.
So could you be on the Frank and Mary show?
That would be a very good idea.
Oh, I never really thought of that. I would rather Tiamir be on the Frank and Mary show, but he's very shy. Like he wants me to do all the talking, even though I'm blanked out on the screen right now.
It's just Allison and Arthur. You don't feel like there's a big audience because it's just the two of them. And I would think once an expert gets talking about his expertise, he would kind of forget the whole, that there's a camera in his face.
Yeah, yeah.
But it seems like that would be a good place to start. And the two of you could come into the Salt Marsh and do presentations as well. And we could put something in the hospital Elder Expo bag.
Oh, I don't know if we'll be ready before then, because we have quite a lot on our plates, but meaning this is something that has been put in the back seat for years because of the pandemic, because we've both been so busy with other things. But just witnessing my dear friend at Sherburne Commons and seeing how confused she was. And I thought to myself, we really need to get back to this. And of course, being aligned with this team, this group, this council now, I figured, oh, I should bring this up and see what your thoughts are, see if it's something that's worth doing.
Sounds like definitely a good idea. So no pressure. but hurry up.
Right. Marianne, are you sure you're not Irish?
Anybody else want to weigh in on this topic?
Well, Jericho disappeared again. Maybe he's putting it on the whiteboard.
Good.
You were correct. That was me. I'm putting some notes down. Sorry, multitasking.
Before we close the meeting, I just want to mention one thing that two seniors mentioned to me that they're very interested in, and that is Life Alert. They were wondering if we can't get a grant to get Life Alert for seniors who might want this kind of thing where you wear a button around your neck, and if you fall and can't get up, you just press the button. That's the total of what I know about Life Alert. So I've done no investigation of it, but I just thought I'm going to put this out to everybody as a suggestion that came from two seniors who are regulars at the Salt Marsh. They both approached me and said, could the Council on Aging just look into this and possibly get a grant? But I have not seen any grants that are available that might be useful for something like that, but it's kind of rocking around in my brain. And so I wanted to get it into all of your brains as well.
I'm happy to help research that, but isn't that something the Community Foundation might want to get behind?
That's a possibility, especially since they're looking at things to do to help seniors. So yeah, thank you, Arlene, for that idea. I don't want to put anything else on your plate till you get this other thing going.
Which thing? The minutes?
The scamming.
Scamming.
Scamming of, you know, that your friend out at Sherburne Commons was almost a victim of.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's all. So unless anybody has any other comments or questions, I'm going to ask for somebody to suggest that we close the meeting.
Bob will move it.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Any seconds?
I second.
Thank you, Arlene. I'm going to go down the list. Bob,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Marianne, yes. Thank you, everybody. See you again next month.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.